Hello everyone, Russell Wright, localleadsempire.com. Matt is already here, Sue is with us, coffee is just hitting our veins, and we are ready to rock and roll with the Local Leads Empire Business Blueprint Training Webinar. And I'm kind of excited about this one because Matt is a bona fide expert in call center theory and execution. More importantly, he's run multi-million-dollar businesses out of call centers. And that makes it really interesting because we can show you what's possible in terms of automating your business and integrating call center technologies. And more importantly, when we talk about call center technologies, we're not just talking about, IT. We're talking about how you set up your process maps and your choose your own close for your call center staff. If you do it properly, you can have your call center that you've leased and that you're using close your clients for you. But you have to know what you're doing. You have to know how to set up a script. You have to know how to use a script. In fact, when Sue and I launched ThemeZoom in the early years, when we started I started interviewing different call centers to work with some of the huge volume of people that were talking to us. And I got incredibly frustrated. It was quite a daunting task to try to figure out the if-then statements for the call center telephone staff. You have to really know the process map of how to communicate, how to create a program, and how to make sure that, if you don't tell them what to say with a proper process map, they're not going to say it, and you can leave a lot of money on the table, which Matt will get in today, too. So we're waiting for some other people to get on the line right now. We have about half to three-quarters of people here. So we'll probably wait for a couple minutes. And what I'd like to do in this time while Sue is just getting everything squared away, people logging in, and a couple people are missing their logins, if there's any questions that we can ask that we can answer based on yesterday's stuff, let us know, and we'll kick that around for a minute. Also, Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're going to get into today without getting in it? I got to hold you back for a second because we're waiting for people to log on still. Just give us a basic outline.
Just basically today, in the first three sessions, we spoke a lot about the web stuff, how to approach your clients, how to talk to them about what you're doing, how your business works, how you generate leads, and how quickly they want to jump on the wagon with not much resistance. And then we spoke about how to set up the sites, site architecture, that kind of stuff. We spoke about setting up the autoresponders and used AWeb as an example, and we understood that the lead engine is essentially your autoresponder. Your accountant will tap into that to call people. The autoresponder will manage the redirection of leads as soon as they happen. And today, what I'm going to be talking about is just the call center world and how powerful the technologies are that exist there and how cost effective they've actually become since I stopped working in them a few years back.
Right.
And that's roughly what we're going to do. And then I've done some process maps for you guys just to make visual impacts of what's actually happening on an advanced way and how you can really scale your business up. Because the more local lead engines you build, the more busy you're going to get. So we need to manage your time, which is a very, very important point at this point in time. So that's what I'm going to get into roughly.
Hey, I got a question, Matt. I got a couple of questions, actually.
Okay.
The scripts and the contracts and all that stuff that I know you've been working really hard on, when are you planning on getting those up?
It's just formatting. With regards to the scripts, guys, I'm going to be covering that today because there is not just one script to fit all. We're dealing with different industries and we're dealing with different type of products and services, and each one needs its own script. Okay, so the ones we're given are samples which you can use to work it out. But essentially, what you want to do with the script is you want to map out the call flow. How is the person doing the outbound or inbound call going to speak to the prospect? And there's a whole bunch of stuff involved there. So by the end of this week coming, not this week, but following week, we'll have all the stuff up. I was actually speaking to Russ about it.
Yeah, we just talked about it. We realized the deliverables for you guys are the scripts, and there's a reason that we delayed on those scripts. Is when we started reviewing them, and Sue and I started looking at them, we were aware that we needed a couple different versions of them based on which model you guys were following that we were giving. So we wanted to make sure that we had all the webinars up first and got the feedback before we finalized some of those scripts. And also some of the contracts needed some adjustments for the United States and all these different things. So these deliverables will be in the area within a 4 to 5 day period following the finalization of this course, which is the final webinar, which is today. Hopefully that answers your question.
Cool. And the mapping software, how's that coming, Matt?
It's just a matter of cleaning up, and then we just need to have a chat between Russ and yourself with how we're going to position it, where we're going to put it, so that the guys get access to it. The whole application is built.
Okay.
Yeah, we also reviewed that this morning. We're probably looking within a 5 day period sometime. That's really what Matt's doing this upcoming week, is I'll be working with him a little off and on to do that. We're going to close all the deliverables and make sure you have that final piece of tech. And we want to make sure that tech is stable enough for everybody to be using it. So we'll have it within the next 5 days.
Okay, good. All right. So by a week from today, everything should be final and in the members area and all set up. All right. We've got a different person today asking about a community/mastermind group within the members area. So we'll definitely have a bit of a think tank on that, a virtual coffee between the three of us and see what we can do with that.
Yeah, we need to find out. Mastermind is kind of above and beyond the course that we have, and Sue and I have been talking about masterminds for a couple of different things. I definitely am creating a mastermind for my launch upcoming for stuff that Sue and I have been working on, and the PinVid course. And we have to come up with a model that is useful, and that might end up being, maybe we get together once or twice a month on a call or something like that. So we need to determine how many of you are interested in doing that for this, and how we organize it, and how we create our time for it. So we'll kind of look at that and see what's, how much interest we have in that. Obviously, we do have beyond the scope, once all the deliverables are there and the members area is overflowing with everything you could possibly need. We obviously do private consultation and coaching and all this kind of stuff, So we have to decide whether we want to go with that model, or if enough of you are interested in a mastermind group, we'll put something together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've got Bob who's asking me if SpyFu is equivalent to Majestic SEO. In my mind, those are two radically different tools. There might be some overlapping functions.
Well, not really, eh?
No.
Not that.
Not Majestic.
Yeah.
Maybe SEMrush, but not Majestic.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something that I had on the list for Sue to give her thumbs up or thumbs down. Sue and I haven't revisited SpyFu for almost a year and a half. We looked at it quite prolifically in, what was it, Sue, like 2010 or something?
Yeah.
And they're actually right here in Phoenix, like just a crow's fly. And we thought about having lunch with them, but then we realized that we were kind of on different paths. So I would be interested in doing a back in the box review on those guys. If enough of you are interested in that, we'll take a look at it. I think I have an account lying around somewhere. I haven't seen their stuff in a while, so I can't really speak to it. And it's not how Matt uses SEMrush, because you can't. What makes SEMrush different is, I don't know if you guys knew this, but they were SEO Digger in 2008. And SEO Digger was one of my favorite secret little tools. It gives us an amazing illusion of doing this impossible thing, which is put in your domain name, and it'll bring back all the keywords that you're ranked for based on your domain, right? And that's like an impossible thing, and it's actually kind of an illusion because it doesn't really do justice to the domains. They were archiving all of that data on servers in Japan in 2008, and they moved it stateside. And then they have all these things going on. And then they became SEMrush later. Okay, and so they're one of the only services out there that claim to be able to look at keywords that you're already ranked for just based on having archived your domain. And it's pretty trippy to be able to do that. And honestly, I think the data is marginal, but it's the best of the worst that's out there. And it's really as far as I know, it's one of the only services that tries to archive thousands of sites and maintain their keyword rankings or a superficial layer of their keyword rankings in the database. So that's what makes them unique. SpyFu does not do that. SpyFu, one of the pieces of data that Sue and I used early on for SpyFu was you could type in a keyword and it would give you back all the pay-per-click keywords that were I don't think that they did it based on domain. I think they did it based on just the keyword clustering. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You probably use it more. But they tried to do it, and the data got more and more speculative, and it just really we didn't really want to use it as a keyword tool anymore. And there has been huge upgrades. I'm aware of that because we keep getting emails. But other than that, I can't really speak to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. With Majestic SEO, their whole business plan, their whole focus is on backlinks. That's what they look at. They look at your anchor text, your backlinks, and they've just released the citation and trust flow. Citation is basically they've got an algorithm that scores it, and then trust flow is basically the site linking back to your site. What is the trust score of that website, and how many times are the links coming back from those properties to your site? And that gives you a technical understanding of what type of promotion the companies are doing. So Russ and I were speaking a bit earlier on about just doing some sessions where we train you guys up on how to actually think about using tools, or how to use tools, and how to think about what you need to think about when using these tools, when analyzing data. Because a lot of people look at the screen, but they don't actually understand what to look for, and therefore it doesn't actually give them the right understanding of what's actually going on.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're going to be covering, we had a huge demand to cover these kinds of tools, and folks, we're going to do that. I mean, there's all kinds of backlinking tools. You know, I was, hanging out with Rand at SEO Conference 2009 when he was building link mods, and everybody's trying to do these kind of tools. And the question is, which one do you use, right? I mean, everybody used to default to the Yahoo backlink, Yahoo Explorer, and then that went offline. And nothing's perfect, but the best of the worst is probably going to be, what Matt's using right now. I mean, we've looked at quite a few of them, and it's, you're not going to get perfect backlinking from any service out there, but you can get close with SEMrush.
Well, let me say you'll get as close as you can get. Yeah, I still find it only returns about 25% of the links.
I knew you were going to chime in.
Sorry.
I mean, honestly, Sue doesn't like any of them. All right, that's why I've hesitated to do a back in the box with her on backlinking tools, because she just doesn't follow content. So what she ends up doing is some fancy dancing, which we won't get into here, which is far more accurate in a lot of ways, but that's for another course.
Yeah, I mean, Google Webmaster Tools used to give you that information, but they've ceased recently, which just completely perturbed me. But anyway,
they wouldn't want to give you the total keys to the kingdom, because
just my own websites you can. I don't have any problem with that, but they don't even do that anymore. Anyway, it's well after 1 o'clock, so if we want to get started, we could.
Oh, I thought we had. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump in. All right, here, ready? 1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone. Russell Wright from NetworkEmpire.com and LocalLeadsEmpire.com. Today we are going to talk about Local Leads Empire. And those of you who just joined us, we've just been talking a little bit about backlinking tools and kind of kept it a little bit informal. You can get that information on the replay. I don't know if we said anything super profound, but today this is our final wrap-up for the Local Leads Empire course. And I'm really excited about this one because this is the area where Matt excels, and which is many areas, but this is the one where he really blows out of the water. I've learned a ton from him on this topic. And as I said when we first launched, when we described what we're going to do today, when I was trying to set up call center scripts in 2007 when ThemeZoom first launched, and we were trying to figure out how we were going to deal with the influx of people that were contacting us, one of the biggest challenges I had is understanding how to create the scripts and how to do the if-then statements and really take advantage of the call center and prepare that, because almost every call center needed to know what it is about our product and what to say. But there's just so much to know, so we're going to jump right in and start talking about how to how to think big, first of all, because for some of you, I know the idea of I've talked to you, the idea of going to a call center and really thinking of that scale seems like an overwhelming and daunting task. And what we're here to tell you is it's really not. It's really an amazing thing when you begin to realize that you can start outsourcing. And even preparing to do that, even if you're not ready to do it right now, is going to change the way that you view your business and everything is going to seem a lot smaller to you when you realize where you can go. So with no further ado, I'm just going to step out of the way and let Matt start his educational process here.
Cool. Thank you very much, Russell. How's it, everybody? Russell was speaking here about that, and I've got like a flashback to the day sitting in the IT office. Usually the IT office was directly on the call floor, so if something broke, we were right there to fix it. And what would happen is it's almost like starting up an airplane. You come in the morning, you go in the comms room, you check all the servers, make sure everything's working, everything's backed up, backup tapes, you've got space to back up the calls, prep and ready everything. It was like a routine. You had to really secure the data. And the reason for that was, just to give you an idea of how powerful call centers are, typically in the call center that we're doing, we'll do something up to like 20,000 phone calls in a day. That's how many phone calls we made out on multiple campaigns across multiple things. And you see on the call floor, when there'll be a floor of like 150, 200 people sitting there, the team leaders will come in and they'll be set with tasks, and they'll have their goals. And the goal was called SPH, sales per hour. They were actually tasked to get X amount of sales per hour. So it'll be like a 0.5 or a 0.2 or a 2 or 4 or a 10, depending on the type of campaign. These guys are driven by the call center managers, and it's a very hierarchical type of organization where you typically have the directors who do all the business in the company. Then you get the call center managers, okay, and then the call center manager is incentivized by the production of the floor, okay. Now on the floor you get a pod, which is basically a table with 10 seats, and at the end of the pod you'll have the team leader, and he have his 10 call agents, his call advisors. And these guys will be incentivized by their pod. So the more the pod makes, the more bonus they get. So it sounds almost like the banking system. Everybody's just chasing the money. And this is how call centers work. So when the guys come in, everyone sits down, and the servers get turned on, and they start logging into the system. Next minute, it sounds like a beehive. It's just humming. And we'll sit and watch the stats and watch things go on, and you literally watch them print money. This is what these guys do day in and day out, and it's quite an amazing thing to watch this happening. So in today's session, I wanted to basically take you guys into the back office of what goes on in call centers, and I want to give you the rundown of how they work, how things go on, and what you need to do to basically take your business and automate it. Okay, so the agenda for today is we're going to talk about scaling your business, and then we're going to speak about why inbound call centers. And inbound means calls coming in to the call centers, not outbound calls where they are actually cold calling and phoning out. Then what you need to do, setting it all up. Okay, so scaling your business. So every site that we build for local leads, okay, every local lead site that you build must be treated like a business. When you build your first site, think to yourself, this is my business, I have to survive off this. This has to make me money, I've got to pay my mortgage, I've got to pay my car, I've got to pay my kids' tuition, I've got to pay for food, I've got to basically pay for everything with this. You've got to think about that. Every single individual local lead site, you must have that mindset, okay. Now when you take this set in point one, as your primary understanding of why you build these, very, very important. If you don't think about it this way, when it comes to actually scaling the business and essentially extracting yourself out of the business, then you won't be able to actually think it through properly. You need to really zoom right out and look at the whole story, the whole market, look at everything, so and understand what's going on, so that when you come to actually working with them, you can tell the whole story to them. And if you can't, they will charge you to get the information out of yourself, and it will be expensive. Okay. So as your portfolio of local lead sites starts to grow, okay, and your business starts to scale, it's going to be, you're very quickly going to start seeing you're not going to be able to manage it all. You can't do this all by yourself. It's impossible. It's the same principle as working with multiple clients, okay? And what you're going to have to start doing is putting the right people in the right places of your process, Okay, and then you also have to start thinking about standardizing processes. Now, when I'm talking about processes, when we get to this level where we want to have multiple local leads pushing leads into us, in previous, I think it was day 2, we looked at just some simple numbers and we set some simple goals, and I basically calculated that if I made 20 leads a day and I've got $10 per lead, I'll make myself £14,000 a month. If I took that £14,000 a month and I paid them off for 7 years on my property portfolio, I'll end up saving myself $3 million. And this is why we have to look at standardizing processes. We're going to have to give people tasks, we're going to have an acceptable standard, and then we're going to have to tell them what their process is. Okay. Now this is where DWS really shines. We built DWS specifically for this reason, for standardization, for being able to give everybody an exact job they do day in and day out for this whole thing. Okay. So DWS gives you the ability to manage your production line. So you can manage your sites, the complex metadata, the content, the promotions, the people. You can put them in the right places of your production line. So if you think about Domain Web Studio, you think about production. This is your factory. This is where you're building your local lead websites. And with DWS, you can have multiple sites and you start knocking them out. And then you put the people in the right place. They start writing content. They're doing your promotions. And the engine's just rolling. And effectively, you've taken a step back and you're just overseeing that whole process as you're building the sites out. So you've got access to the DWS, you've got the tools to manage a production line, to create LEV sites, but now you need to start thinking about how you control your leads, okay? How do you manage each LEV site when it starts producing volume? Now obviously, with yesterday's session, we spoke about offline marketing, we spoke about paid traffic, and we spoke about free traffic. And if you start applying the things we give you in Network Empire to your local lead websites, you're going to have a very, very powerful system, okay? We got an email from one of the people we've been speaking to. I'm not going to mention any names right now, but they've been proofing concepts and testing what we've been saying to them. And the email came back today, and they've basically built a local site, and it was literally 3 weeks and on page 3 for nearly all the keywords with no backlinks. And that's purely just using website style architecture and using DWS to build it out. They've not even started doing the promotions yet, and they're pretty blown away that within 3 weeks for their keywords, they're nearly on page 1. They're in page 1, 2, and 3, and they've not actually started promotion yet. And that says a lot for what we've actually given you guys. Okay, so what we do now is we're going to go into call centers and start speaking about it. The types of call centers. Okay, inbound. Inbound call centers manage inbound calls, i.e. you got your local lead website, you got your phone number on it, the client comes along, he wants his carpets cleaned, he picks up the phone. Hi there, can you come clean my carpets out in Glasgow? If you're answering the phone, you'll speak to them, you'll talk to them, you'll give them a speech, convert them, and the lead will go off. Your local lead engine will basically redirect it to the guy who does the carpet cleaning, and that's how the process works. Now, when you introduce the inbound call center, these guys that are sat, that you see them sitting in these little pods with their papers around them, all that kind of stuff, essentially they're going to be, it's going to be as, if you can imagine that you've employed them, you're going to have to then start thinking about, okay, I have to tell these guys what they have to say when someone phones in. So this is where you create your script, okay? Now, when you create your script and you write your script out, you think to yourself, okay, if I'm going to phone in, what is the question I'm going to ask? And you just write your questions down. And then you've got to sort of try and map out the conversation. And that's essentially what call center people do. And in the rough samples that we have at the moment that's available for you guys, if Russ has put them up yet, there's different types of scripts I've written out. And you can sort of, when you read through them, you can see it'll be like, hi there, this is Bob from networkempire.com. How can I help you today? Yes, how are you, Mr. Smith? Okay. Oh, right, you want to join the Network Empire, okay. And you sort of role play the whole conversation, you write it out. Now, when we come to inbound calls, we have to basically predict what people are going to say. And when we give the script and we lead them through our conversation and our pitch to do the stuff, then we put that into our script. But then also you have your FAQs. What are your frequently asked questions? And that makes the agent familiar. They read through the FAQs and they get familiar with people that ask. Then we've got a thing called objection handling. So if a person says, no, it's not for me, the inbound call agent or the outbound call agent, they get trained on objection handling. It gets drilled into them, okay? Objection handling essentially means if someone opts out, you basically break their train of thought, you bring them back into the call, you ask them why they want to opt out, and then you have to convince them that it's a wrong decision to opt out and that what you're offering them is the best thing for them. And you basically, they keep on trying to sell the lead, sell the lead. That's what call centers do, day in and day out. And this is why it's so good to start looking at these companies, what they do, and tap into that, because it works. It works like gangbusters. I've seen guys sometimes on some campaigns doing up to 40 sales a day, just nailing it, especially if there's money involved on outbound calls. Okay, so outbound calls. This is cold calling or calling people's lists, okay? So let's say you've got a local lead engine and you're getting like 10, 20, 30, 40, 1,000 leads a day, whatever the numbers are. It's all going to outbound call. You can essentially do a campaign for the company, like in day one we spoke about, okay, let's do a Groupon type of campaign, or let's do something, some kind of promotion. You can essentially take that whole list, give it to the outbound team and say to them, can you phone up all these people and tell them about this promotion? And we basically going to start doing bookings for the next 2 months. And if the guys sign up today to get their carpet cleaned, they'll get it at 30% off. What they'll do is every person that's ever phoned in to get their carpets cleaned, you'll basically call them back, say, hi there, we're just doing a follow-up call, how was the service, blah, 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 blah. Right, we've got a promotion going on. We know you cleaned your carpets, but would you like your furniture and upholstery cleaned? And bang, they'll just do all the calls, and then this is how you can start reusing your list with a call center. Okay. So to start off with, we recommend using, for your local sites, inbound call management. Okay, and the reason why we're doing this is a very, very important reason. You need to test and measure, and you need to track every single call that comes into or comes from your website. Okay, if someone phones in and you're redirecting the leads to the business owner's phone number, you have no accountability on those phone calls. You cannot bill him for that lead, okay? And chances are he's not going to keep track or record of it. Doesn't matter how honest he is. You probably say, oh, well, I think I've got 10 calls, but to be honest, I can't remember. So this is where yesterday we spoke about getting your own phone numbers. This is how you go about it. Get your own phone number. The call center will, the IT team will connect up all the stuff. You just give them the number. They'll tell you exactly what you need to do for their setup and where you can go get the number that works with their setup, and they'll connect it all up for a small fee. It'll be like less than $100. I know in the UK it was costing me 40 pounds just to get my numbers hooked up into the call center. Okay. Now, usually what happens with these type of things, they give you 24/7 phone coverage. Okay, so basically late working hours. You can have phone on the phone from 1 o'clock in the morning till basically 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Some people do double shifts where people work through the nights depending on the type of promotion you're doing. So if you're doing emergencies like plumbing or those type of things, or some type of hazard type of campaign, then you want to have 24/7 coverage. Okay, and these guys will answer the phone 24/7. You don't have to worry about it, and they speak as if they're on your behalf. Okay. Now, what does this do for your website? It gives your website a professional first impression. So the guy phones in, picks up the phone, and the person who answers, hi there, this is Susie from Glasgow Carpet Cleaning. How can I help you? So they put the domain name into the URL, into the first line of the speech. They ask how they can help you, and then the guy starts speaking to them. And it just gives that feel. So with Property Saviors, this is what we did. We could not answer the phones all the time. And when the engine was turned on and all the marketing kicked in, we can handle the phone and also handle the business, okay? And when your business starts rolling, you're going to be working in your business and on your business. You're not going to have time to still sit and answer the phones. You're going to be busy. So this is where this is great. You basically prepare the information, you prepare your scripts, you prepare the whole pitch of what you want said, how you want said, how you want your objections handled. You give them all the contact information they need, all the stuff they need, and you hand it over to them, and they basically sit there, they do it, and then they actually key in the information into your lead capturing form. So they feed the information straight into the lead engine, which then automatically redirects it out to whoever's buying the leads. Now this is what they'll do. They'll answer calls, and they answer as if they're working for your company. And that's because you got a contract with them. You're actually paying them to work for you in that facility. They fulfill all the data capture, okay? And they'll do any upselling you build into your script, okay? This is a very, very important thing. So remember I said about in the beginning, I said segment your markets, understand how your market flows. Now, a lady phones up to get her carpets cleaned, and she says, oh, okay, you got your carpets cleaned. We offer other services. Could I tell you about them? And the lady says, okay, well, tell me about them. Well, we actually do renovations on all your windows. We do painting. We basically can do any plumbing work. We can check your electricals, blah, 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 blah. And the lady might say, actually, you know what, I need to have an electrical safety check done, and I've got a few creaky windows. Could you get someone out to come and see us for that as well? In that call, you essentially can pick up another 2 additional leads on one phone call. And that means you've tripled the profitability of that call. Okay, so this is why these call centers are so powerful. So what I've got is a whole bunch of providers, and I'm just going to flip through them. We've got Callfire, Hosted Numbers, we've got Mongoose Metrics, that's call tracking. We've got Message Direct in the UK, that's for the guys in the UK. That's what I use in the UK all the time. They're really good. Excuse me. We've got Apple Tree Answers, and then we've got If by Phone. I love If by Phone. I've been going through the website, and these guys are pretty switched on. So what I want to do is I'm just going to quickly switch to the browser. What we've got over here, this is our entire business process map. I've actually built it all out, so we'll look at this at the end. But this is everything we've spoken about over these last 4 calls. You can see it's quite intense, all the things we've gone through. But yes, Callfire, and these guys basically, you can plug straight into the system and they'll do all the kind of stuff for you. And what these guys offer here is you can do voice broadcasting, okay, 3.5 cents per minute. You can do text messaging from them, 3 cents per SMS. Numbers and tracking, okay, it's call forwarding, routing, and recording for more than a penny per minute. Hosted IVR. Now, IVR is basically voice. It's like a voice answering service where you record a voice and you can actually have someone phone in, it hits your number, and it can then automatically hit IVR. So you can say, okay, if you're looking for this, go yeah. If you're looking for this, press 2. If you're looking for that, press 3. That's what IVRs are. And then you've got the cloud call center, and you can see these rates are really, really cheap. So on average, in the call center, the average phone call is about 15 minutes, okay? So if you look at this, and let's just say we've got, if this is say at the most, the price is 5 cents a minute. If the call's 15 minutes, you're looking like 80 cents they're going to charge you for that phone call plus the service fees. If we go to hosted numbers, and we look at the prices, you can see you can get toll-free numbers, local numbers, vanity numbers. You get absolutely everything you want, okay? And everything is cost-effective. It is not expensive, especially for inbound calls, okay? And there's tons and tons of stuff. So I'm just going to close some of these down to get them out the way. Okay, there's call tracking, there's Mongoose Metrics. Basically the way Mongoose works is you'll give them their numbers and they put a JavaScript in your site, and when the page loads, it basically passes the keyword that came on this, you got the keyword, you got the number that the guys are actually coming on, and you get a whole bunch of stuff. It's really, really powerful. A few of the clients we've worked with with Sue and I use this in their own internal call center, and it's very, very smart how it works. Here's Message Direct in the UK, and basically what these guys do is they do telephone answering services, and they can do message talking, emergency response, overflow call handling, media response and brochure requests, holiday and temporary cover. They're really, really good. We use these guys as property saviors, and they were our first line support, so i.e. guys would phone in, they would run through our script, answer the people's basic questions, but then they'll lead them into having our consultant going out and seeing them. And that's typically how you set this all up. With Apple Tree, they do a lot of good stuff. But here's my favorite. This is If by Phone, and these guys are great. They do lead capture, lead response, lead scoring, lead nurturing, analytics. They've got tons and tons of services. This is a really great thing, and they're very cost effective. And when I look at the stuff you can get access to, it just from an IT perspective, there's a lot of toys to play with, and it's not expensive. Right, here we go. So for the basic, right, check this out, $49 a month. You can track which online and offline ads generate the highest ROI. You got call tracking, find me call forwarding, virtual receptionist, and my lead responder. Click to call, call recording. This is what you get for $49 a month in your business. That is nothing. It is so cheap for that if you think about it. Then you can go even more and you can start getting other stuff like host IVR, soundtrack, and you're paying more. Then if you want a full service, then it's obviously customized. But typically this is what you would use for your local lead engine. And that is not a lot of money to spend on a business for a managed solution on a call stuff. So what I want to do now is I want to take 5 minutes and I just want to answer maybe 1 or 2 questions, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop back into the promotion and into the presentation, and then start talking on how we actually go about planning our scripts and how we put it all together. So is there any questions that have come through?
There were some questions that were concurrent with while you were talking, but there's not too many in the meantime. One is, are Mongoose and If by Phone suitable for the UK?
I would use Message Direct.
Okay.
Mongoose is, I'm not sure if they deal with the UK, that's more of an American type of system, but Message Direct for the local leads thing, Message Direct is perfect for the UK. I've used them on 4 different campaigns and they've been brilliant. They're UK specific, and in the UK you want to use, guys, the trick is to use local stuff. If you got local people, you don't want to outsource to India or you don't want to outsource to other countries, and then you get the language barrier type of situation. I know some people even battle understanding me when I speak. Try and stick with local when you're using your local lead engines. That's what I always typically try to do. If I'm dealing in America, I want to use American companies to manage my local leads. If I'm in the UK, I want to use English people.
Does Message Direct offer tracking like Mongoose?
Yeah, no, but they do give you reports on how many calls came through on the actual phone number. So it's not as refined as Mongoose. Mongoose gives you, it actually picks up the keyword that the guy hit your page with, which is quite impressive. It's actually very impressive. They bring the internet right across and they connect it to the actual phone number. So whether Mongoose works in the UK, I'm not sure. I know that it is a tracking software, so it may work. But you'll have to set up like your own internal call center to actually plug into their whole system.
Okay. All
you
right.
have to have like a team of guys sitting in your office answering the phones for you.
Right. Do you have to pay, Deb, I'm not quite sure about what the question that you're asking. You said, do you have to pay percentage on the sale or a flat rate? Are you talking about, does that question make sense?
No, not on inbound calls.
Okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. What you're thinking about there is outbound calling. On outbound calling, it's typically marketing. And with the outbound calling, what happens is you either get a fixed rate where you pay per hour or you pay per sale. Okay, that's typically, and it'll either be a fixed price or percentage. But that's a negotiation you need to do with the sales directors in the company when you go speak to them. They will talk you through the whole process, or the sales manager that manages your account. That's outbound calling. That's when you're doing outbound campaigns. When you're doing inbound campaigns, you pay per call, because essentially the guys are sitting there reading a book, his phone rings, I've got a call, and he answers the call and deals with it. He's not actively sitting there grinding away. Okay, so they're looking more to cover the person's salary rather than make as much money as possible, because inbound calls typically are service related. They're either help desk or that type of stuff. We're just using inbound because it's a cheaper method, and people are coming in from our websites, our marketing.
Okay, so how much does that, David wants to know, how much does that affect the business if you set an online tracking only?
I don't understand the question.
Okay, David, maybe you can clarify that a little bit. If you could narrow down the call center options to one for the U.S., that would be great.
That if by phone is my favorite choice. If I'm gonna, I'd love to use that service if I'm doing the US. That if by phone is my first choice. From what I spent a lot of time on their website, and they've got some really cool stuff. Essentially, you could have an SMS sent off as soon as the guy puts the phone down, saying you've received a phone. They've got some crazy stuff. You can really do some fancy shuffling there. But that $49 service is the best one.
Okay. And then Nathan wants to know, is Mongoose tracking lucrative to better funnel organization after analyzing it?
Mongoose is a tracking technology, and it gets, I'm assuming they're probably going to try and sell you an IVR system or some type of telephony system that their suite communicates with. There's usually a catch like that. I think with that type of setup, you're going to need to have a solid business, and you're going to need to really understand what you want to do before you walk down that route. Like for example, the guy that we've been working with, Sue, he's using Mongoose, and he's got 10 guys that sit in his office on the phones. So he's running a serious business. It's not, he's got his in-house call center basically, and that's why he's using Mongoose.
Okay. So David came back.
I just wanted to say that the trick to this whole thing with call centers is keep it simple. You don't need all the bells and whistles. All you need them to do is pick up the phone, answer it, and run through your script. That's all you want. The call centers will try and sell you everything, trust me. They will try and sell you everything, and they'll try and get the price up as high as possible, and they'll make up that you need to. You're dealing with professional salespeople. That's their job, is to sell. But all you want to do is tap into their technology and their resources, the people that are sitting there. Because here's the thing, if you run a campaign, a successful online campaign, and you ramp your leads up from 10 to 20 a day to 200 to 300 a day, the call center will scale and grow that campaign with you. They'll put more people in seats to make sure that all the calls get answered. When it deflates again, they'll just scale down. This is how it works. They inflate and they deflate, depending on how busy the thing is.
Have you tried All Day PA in the UK?
Sorry, who?
All Day PA.
No, I've looked at the website, but I never chose them. I went with Message Direct.
Okay.
That's the only one I've used, and I've gone back to them because I was happy with the first experience.
Okay. All right. Yeah, David came back and qualified his question a little bit more. He's actually talking offline. Let me just see if I
if you want to track offline, what I suggest to guys is give a reference code. And when the guy fills the lead engine form in, you just have that little thing to capture the reference number.
Yeah, I need to put he's made several comments at this point. Let me put his comments together and we'll come back to it. With an increase in orders to call centers, do call centers handle back office processing, or is that a different service?
No, they'll do whatever you want down there.
Okay.
Here's an example. Pre-2008 was about 2006. We started doing lead generation for the banks, and they just wanted us to basically phone to clients and start doing leads. Then once the guys saw that the leads were quite lucrative, the owner of the company got wind of someone that the banks will actually pay you up to £400 or £500 to package a lead. I.e. packaging means you get the lead in, you fill in all the forms, you get all the information, you put it all together, and then you send it off to them all prepared and packed. They'll pay you 500 quid. and literally, I think 3 of the 5 call centers changed to packaging centers within 2 weeks. We had to rip apart the whole buildings, rebuild everything very quickly. So call centers will do basically anything if it's viable for them. It just depends on your budget. Now, I'm going to speak about that a bit later on, is looking at is it viable? Because remember, if you're generating leads, you're charging the guy like $8 or $10, or if you're selling a boat and you get a lead and it converts, you might get a few $1,000s. The point is, it's got to be viable for you. Your lead must justify the expense. If you're going to do packaging, then the lead becomes a sale, and that's a whole different price. The price point changes, your commission is larger, because 1, you got the lead, 2, you've had to basically convert that lead into a sale and package it and hand it over. So from a lead that was costing between 10 and 50 pounds to package, it was 10 times the value. They're charging up to £500 a package at that time. So you've got to look at it from that perspective. How much work is involved to get the end result to the guy who's buying it off you?
Right. Okay, we got a bunch of different kinds of questions that can all be kind of summed up in a couple, I think. What happens if you've already got a phone number?
A bought phone number, or just your own business phone number?
No, bought phone number, like an 888 number.
You can use it. Typically what happens is when you come to these call centers, they will try and sell you or charge you to use one of their numbers. But here's the thing why you don't want to do that. Once they've got you on their numbers and your media goes out, you basically tied into them. It's one of the little tricks I never tell you about. They got you by the hip. You stuck with them. You can't just go and change. Whereas if you use your own number and you don't like the way they're doing business with you, you can actually just change the call center to someone else.
Right.
And you give your number to that other call center, and it just gets changed at the telephony side of things. They just basically route it.
Yeah.
So you'll basically buy your number from the provider. You just say, look, redirect this number to that number, because that's essentially what happens.
Yeah. So there's a couple of ideas that I've got along those lines, and one is, just because you have one phone number, you might not want to use that one phone number everywhere that you advertise. Using different phone numbers in different places is a great way to do segmentation and to easily track where your calls are coming from, to find out which marketing avenues are most profitable. So I would look around and then get numbers that obviously there's just such a wide variety of things that are available at this point. You can get all different kinds of aspects, both at the call center as well as when you get the phone number. So you just got to marry up. If you've already got existing phone numbers and it's limited on the services that the phone numbers offer, then you just have to find the call centers that offer the services that you're missing on the other side, in terms of call tracking and reporting and that kind of thing.
What Sue says is exactly right. We had a batch of 6 numbers when we were doing offline and online marketing. Our online marketing had a certain range of numbers, and our offline marketing had a different range of numbers. And when we pushed them through the call centers, we had 2 teams that dealt with offline type of sales versus online sales. We dealt with things slightly differently, because we found out that the demographic of people that were coming in off those numbers responded in different ways. So it's always better to have your own numbers, purely for control. And also, if your number changes, you change providers, you don't have to go and update your whole website. You don't have to go re-update all your offline promotional media. You don't have to change all your whole infrastructure. You just change the provider. So it's good to own these type of things. Sorry, so you were saying?
No, that's good. And then we've got, have we used call centers for SEO clients? And no, we haven't personally, but I don't think that there would be any difference there. I mean, it's just going to be a slightly different script. You're looking for, see, the thing with call centers is kind of the same thing with help desk. You're just looking for those aspects that you can make generic enough that it doesn't require an expert in order to be able to handle the call. So it's just that introductory first connection, take some information, and somebody will call you back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's what happens in the call center, right? You come along and say, look, here's my list. I want to make calls to all these people, or I want you to receive calls for me. Then they're going to say to you, okay, cool, what's your product about? Please tell us about your business, blah, 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 blah. You tell them. Then they'll say, okay, well, we need to train our team, and it's going to cost you X. You can either come in and train them yourself, or we'll do it through our trainers so that they can best do your stuff. We'll need to just get a training pack from you. And typically the training pack is, what is your business about? What do you do? What don't you do? What are your terms and policies? All that kind of stuff. And the agents will then go and spend 2 to 3 days getting familiar with the company. Then when your campaign goes live, that's when they'll have a script, or they'll require a script. And usually they'll sit down with you and they'll create a script. And we used to build scripts all the time. We had to sit with the client and extract what the sales process is, what are the questions people ask, how do they deal with objections, what is the SLAs, the service level agreements for dealing with certain things. And if you can come with that all prepared up front, you'll get a much better rate because you're not wasting no one's time. You know exactly what you want. You know you want your phone calls answered, and you know what your business is all about. And that's what you want to try and definitely do. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to move on to the presentation, because this is sort of the section we're at now, and then I'll stop again after this.
Good.
Before I get into like the setup of how everything's connecting in the advanced version and how we can leverage our lead engines to become super powerful. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is, before you go to a call center, you want to define how you want your calls answered. Okay, it's the first impression, it's the first contact you're making with the person, and you need to really think this through. And if you've done your ISDNA, like we teach you in Network Empire, and you've got the industry questions, the pains behind the market, you basically understand what people are looking for. Then you have to think about, okay, when I write a script doesn't have to be long, it can be 1 page. How am I actually going to approach this person, or how am I going to respond to this person when they're phoning in? What is their state of mind? What is it that they want? And how do I solve their problems? And that's how you write your scripts. You've got to think about those things that way. Okay. The next thing is, you've got to create a FAQ page, okay, so that the call center advisor can always answer the questions asked. So if you've got your typical FAQs, you can pull them out of their help desk files, you can pull them out of other websites' help desks. If you're entering into a new market, go to the support and look at their FAQs and just rip their stuff, because those are the questions that are found in the market. Okay, and what is a good idea? Typically, it's good to build a little HTML website. And the reason why I always did this was it was easy for me to put on a subdomain with a username and password. And it's just a little HTML script where I just used tabs or links, and I gave them all the information they needed. And all I did was, when I went to the call center, I said, look, here's my script, boom, there's the link. Just tell the coder to link to that thing. He doesn't have to worry about everything else. It's all built and ready. By doing that, you're saving yourself development costs, because that's what they're going to try and do. They're going to say, well, we're going to have to build a script for the guys, and we're going to have to integrate it into our system, and it's a complex process, and we need to charge you £200 an hour for that. But it's not. It's just an HTML site with a bit of text on it. But this is how these guys make their money. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to create an HTML site with your script, and you basically outline how the conversation is going to flow, what they're going to say to them. Then you have another tab which is your FAQs, and then you'll have your lead capture form basically built in right over there. And that's just where you copy and paste the Aweber form. You just copy and paste it and drop it on an HTML, and that's all done for you. Okay.
Hey, Matt, I have no idea what that would look like, being completely inexperienced with call center setup. Is it possible that we could have a page in our members area that where we can set up one of those call center scripts and forms?
Yeah. I was actually saying to Russell, I'm going to build one so it looks just quite nice, and you can just go in and fill in the gaps. I'll just have a little zip file with the HTML files in it, and I'll put a place. It'll take me not even 30 minutes to put it together for the guys, but I thought of just doing that today when I was doing this, that's going to save them a fortune. And
Right.
all they've got to do is copy the script they want to do, tweak it out, stick it in there, put the FAQs in, then create the objection handling and the responses for the core agent. So if the guy says, no, it's too expensive, how's the core agent, agent to respond to that objection? And I'll get that sorted out for the guys. So the reasons why we use call centers is, one, it scales your business. Two, it gives you access to a workforce that can expand rapidly or shrink depending on your call volume. You can run outbound promotions via call, SMS, survey, or IVR, interactive voice response. Now this is very, very powerful. Now if you think of what you're doing, right, you created this lead engine, you've got leads pouring in, and after a year, you can basically go and recycle that whole database of contacts, and that's where you use the outbound promotions. You'll actually go and say, okay, cool, let's just go push this promotion past everybody, whack, and you push it out there. Okay. Okay. So what you need to do when you're setting it all up, okay, you only go to this level when your marketing is working and converting, and if there's volume, okay. There's no point setting up a call system and it's dead. You're getting one call a week. You may as well answer that phone yourself and save yourself all the hassle. Okay. If you're going to use call centers and this type of stuff, you need to have your engines working. So it means you have to test and measure, you have to drive your traffic, everything's got to be turned on. Okay. That's the whole point of this whole thing. So you remember in day one when I did the foundations and we spoke about how we built DWS on all those 5 principles, where we started with mastery, then we go to niche, then we go to systems, then we go to team, and so forth, right to the end where you get synergy, where synergy is where everything comes together, you turn everything on, it's running, it's converting, it's humming. This is when you switch over to the call center. Okay. If your lead buyer is looking for a service that closes the core of the sales, the sales are more worth more dollars. Okay, so if a guy's busy and he can't answer the phone call, you're going to lose those leads. Even though you're charging him, you don't want him. You want him to build his business. And if you're saying to him, look, I can't actually cope, I can't answer the phone, I've got too much work, you can then say to him, look, we'll put a call center in place to actually do your bookings for you. And these are things you can speak to him about. It's very simple. They're very helpful, and they'll basically do whatever you want. That's how the call center world works. Okay, as long as they're making bucks, they don't really care what they do. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to choose your provider. You want to be clear on the rates and how you'll be billed. This is a very, very, very important piece, okay? Speak to these guys and make them clearly define how they're going to bill you, and also make sure that they just, out of their own choice, put another 10 people on your campaign without your permission, because this is what they do, and then they bill you for those extra 10 people. So just be very clear on how these guys work. And it's just being upfront to the guys and saying, look, this is exactly what I want, and this is how I want you to handle my account. That's all you have to do. It's nothing to be scared of, no big deal, but if you just leave them to do what they want to do, they'll ramp up, and then this causes hassles, okay? Make sure that your lead engine is profitable. So once you spoke to them about billing, go back to your sums and look, can I make money using a call center with this lead engine? So if you're making 50 cents a lead and you're only getting 10 or 20 leads a day, you're not going to afford a call center. Okay, so you've got to look at your product, look how much money is coming in, and see if you use the call center, is it actually going to make you more money? That's the whole point of using it. Prepare your call scripts. It's expensive for the provider to build it. Do it yourself. It's easy. You know the market better than they do. You work in the SEO field. You're used to working with copy. You're used to building online promotions. There's nothing different to what you're doing here in your day-to-day trade when you come to work at the call centers. The only difference is if they do it, they'll charge you probably $200 an hour. Okay. Prepare your objection handling and your Q&As. That's really, really helpful. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the script, the FAQ, the Q&A, the objection form handling, and the lead capture form into a single HTML page. And you can basically use the tab system like Ajax. I'm going to make a sample for you guys. It'll be in the members area. Make sure you own your purchased phone number. So if you move provider, you simply have them plug to your number, and there's no changes to the whole network that you built up. Have all the scripts information ready before you approach a call center. Be prepared. Being prepared reduces your cost, training, and time to go live. Okay, so this is typically what the whole local lead system looks like from a top-level overview. You're going to have multiple local lead websites in a sector, okay, and each one's going to basically either be pushing form requests directly to the database, or they'll hit the inbound team that will go through your script and they'll fill in the lead form on the client's behalf, which then hits the local lead engine. Okay, the lead engine, which is essentially your autoresponder, will basically redirect the lead to the lead buyer, who then goes out and does the job and delivers what the client's requested. So that completes the loop. End of the month, your accountant will come across, you'll access the information from the local leads, or you'll send him a report saying, look, we sent this guy X amount of leads, he'll bill the guy, and the guy will pay you, and the circle will keep on rolling round and round and round. Now, this is where we take the local lead system from a simple form, and we're going to actually put some interesting things in play here, which will increase your sales volume and also increase the actual amount of sales you get out of one person. So instead of one sale, you can actually get more. The first thing you want to do is you want to increase how the leads flow through the lead engine. You want to automate things as much as possible, and if you can't write code, then maybe you should just go to one of the outsourcing gigs and just get a programmer to create a little script for you. I'll tell you what the script is now. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to create a simple script that will gather promotions from the lead buyer on a weekly or monthly basis. I might just put a little script together for you guys as well. It's very simple. But what you basically want to do is you're going to take the autoresponder and you're going to create a short little email saying, okay, hi there, Bob, what promotions do you have on for this week? Or, hi there, Bob, what's your promotions for this month? What specials do you have for the guys? Okay, the autoresponder will basically fire off this response to him every week or every month, indefinitely, okay? And he'll basically get the link, you'll click on the link, which will go to his little PHP script, and you'll say, okay, this week, these are our specials, blah, 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 blah. He keys them in, and as soon as he does that, that promotion then becomes active in the call center script that I'm basically going to put together for you guys. So this is what happens. Your local lead engine gathers all the leads, okay? But now we're going to take the autoresponder power and we're going to have it send an email to the lead buyer. He'll go fill in his promotion, then this promotion will automatically be displayed on the call center script screen. It's going to have a little ticker tape. So when someone phones it in, they say, oh, by the way, these promotions are running. Are you interested in doing this? They say yes. He fills in the form and it increases the sales value. So it's a simple little trick like that where just by writing one email and putting the autoresponder queue, you actually have these guys driving and interacting with the website. You can even take it a step further and have that same information via the RSS feed that comes out of the autoresponder. You could plug it into your local lead website as well. So as soon as he fills in the promotion, you could have that deal of the week, bang, popping in over here. So you can kill two birds with one stone just by setting up an automated routine. Okay. The next thing you can do with the automated routine is essentially write a server which then gets sent to the client after X amount of days once they sign up. How is the service? Blah, 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 blah. Redirect into the survey to qualify or score your, so you actually check up on your lead buyer to see he's giving really good service to the clients. But then you bring them into your golden frame and you try and upsell them again into other services. And you either fill in the form himself, which goes back into the lead gen, or you'll phone a call center. Actually, yes, I'm interested in this offer that you have over here. And this is how we recycle the people when they're still fresh and we're actually interacting and working with them. Use the autoresponder part of the lead engine to interact and do things with the people. So that's the automation part of the system, and it's very, very powerful, especially when you start thinking it through and you start thinking about if someone comes to you for carpet cleaning, then obviously you can start pitching the guys about fixing and painting their houses, getting their gardens done, and you can give them offers all the time, and all you're going to do is build out your autoresponder sequence. Now, this is done with intent. We actually understand what this guy's involved in. We understand what's associated with the sector, and all we've got to do is keep on pushing these things past him, because he might not take it now, but he'll take it later on. And he's also getting more familiar with your brand as well. So that's basically how the local lead engine works, and this is how you automate it.
Matt, are you talking about AWeber here when you're talking about lead database systems?
Yes, it's the autoresponder. Because essentially it's the autoresponder that we're filling in the form, that leads getting dropped into the database. Now we're taking the autoresponder side of it to actually have the actual person buying the leads push his promotion through. That can feed our lead engine website, but at the same time we can have it feed the guys on the phone, answering the phone, if he's doing that.
Right.
So you're putting they're actually promoting their own business through your lead engine for you. You're not actually having touching them. You're just having this autoresponder ping them every week or every month.
Right.
And they're just going, oh, yes, our deals. So it's almost like the Groupon concept, but you're not having to do it.
Yeah, it's completely automated, right?
Yeah, if you're managing 10, 20, 30, 100, well, we spoke the other day, there's a guy who's got a network of 1,500 websites. Mm-hmm. Imagine they're all local lead websites around the world. How would you ever manage that type of information flowing around? It's virtually impossible.
Yep.
So that's what we're doing on the client side when we're dealing with the lead buyer. We have him promote his own business through our engine. That pushes the guys to our golden frames. We create more leads, and we push them off to the other promotions. And then all the guys that we segmented out of the whole local lead engine, like the different categories, they're all doing the same thing off their list.
Right.
So it's this influx of information changing and deals and things and people coming in and they're checking it. And then from the client perspective, every time they come back in, then we're pushing them back to our golden frame as well for a survey. How was the service? Was it good, bad, terrible?
Right.
Oh, by the way, would you be interested in these services? And we're trying to upsell them all the time into getting other things sorted out.
Right. So if you guys don't know, there's a facility on AWeber when you go to do the broadcast messages where you can actually specify, you check an extra box, and it puts that broadcast message live up on the web. And then you can either grab the RSS off that page, or you can use an iframe to embed that page actually in your website. And that's what you're talking about, right, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. So if, I'll grab the AWeber video that talks about that and put that in the members area so you guys can see what it is exactly that we're talking about.
Yeah, and just to make things simple, guys, I'll just create those two little scripts for you. One is the course of the script, and then I'll just connect it with a little PHP form, which you can host on your server or anywhere, and all the promotions, you can just have that thing iframed in. I'll make it work nice and sweet for you, because all it is a simple little text field. This is our promotion, and we can have that data pulled. Every time they call up your page, it calls the latest record.
Cool. Can I track what the clients converted on through AWeber? Okay. No, you can't track. When your clients do convert, you can track what they click on, but you can't track the conversions through AWeber, just so you know. All right, go ahead. I'll let you get back to your thing. There's lots of questions.
I can always.
Thanks.
Yeah, so this is the conclusion of the whole program, okay, guys. With the Local Leads Empire Business Blueprint program, we've shown you how you can go about creating evergreen lead networks, okay? We've shown you how to approach prospect clients that will buy into the concept. Every single person I've spoken to, okay, I've been on the phone for 10 minutes, yes, I want the leads. I've not really had anybody say no to me, and we've got a lot of good feedback from the guys who have been getting really good results when they've gone out and actually spoken to people with this type of approach, because it's a non-threatening approach, and you're essentially doing them a massive favor if you think about it. But the thing is, you holding them, you own the property, so therefore you tying them to your hip, and that's what you want. We've given you the tools that you can use. You've got DWS, Crack, and TLKT to build the networks. You've got the best production line tools in the world. There is a bit of a learning curve, and we're working on refining those things, but essentially you've got everything in place that you can actually outsource and have guys filling in the gaps and building these things for you. We've shown you how to automate the process with call center automation. Okay. Now with the call center automation, this is handling all the inbound call flows or all the outbound promotions, and we've shown you on the prices. The prices are competitive compared to what they were 6, 7, 8 years ago. I'm actually shocked how cheap it's become as the technology has evolved. It's actually not expensive anymore for guys to plug into these things. So if you think of what you're essentially doing is, you're going to have your YouTube channel, so you're broadcasting live. You got Twitter, you got Facebook, you got your paid traffic coming in. If you're going to offline marketing, you got the guys coming in offline media. Now you've got the call center taking all this information and it just evangelizing your message, your speech, your script to that person, getting them into the system. As soon as they get into the system, the autoresponders are hitting the service provider and they're getting hit with new promotions and stuff all the time in a very, very cool way. You're not going to bomb the guys with a lot of things, but you want to be very clever about how you actually speak to them. So you hit them with the survey first. How was the service? Are you happy? Yes or no? Blah, 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 blah. And depending on how they answer, you can actually use SurveyMonkey and these type of things to actually give them different types of questions. Okay. So the local lead empire business blueprint is basically a complete business. Okay. I've got the complete business in the box system, but if you think about it, it's not really even a business in the box, it's a complete business. And I'll show you the blueprint of what we've discussed over the last 4 webinars and training sessions. The limits are your ability to think big. Okay. Now, don't be scared to think big. You can think the biggest things. It just takes more steps to get to the end result. That's all what thinking big means. But it's good to think big because then you get a bigger perspective of what's going on. I've used this exact system to build my whole property portfolio in 1 year. And what we achieved with my 2 other partners, we essentially purchased 59 properties between the 3 of us in 1 year using this exact system. Okay. My cut was the $2.something million property portfolio, but between all of us, it was a lot more money. Okay. The system is so scalable, it's actually scary. It's extremely powerful, and with the Network Empire stackable system and all the other integrated systems that we have, you're unstoppable. You have everything you need. There is nothing else you guys need. You have it all. Okay, and if you want more advanced training in more refined things and some of the more technical stuff, you've got that as well. We do certification, we do all this kind of stuff with you in person. So there is no limits to what you can achieve with what I've shown you over these last 4 videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the process we've gone through, and then that's essentially the end of our journey. So if we zoom all the way out, we can see these are all the things we've actually covered to get to the end result over here. Okay, so we've got how we verify markets. We look at, let me just zoom in one shot more. We found our markets and we verified them. We found our prospects who are going to take the leads off us. We then went along and we figured out who our ideal customers and what to say to them. We then built a website, got it published, tested it, made sure that the leads are working. We then set up an autoresponder and we segmented it so that all the leads are put in the right partitions. Then we start driving traffic and we start pushing all these kind of traffics, and we build and we ramp up and we ramp up and we ramp up until we're actually maxing out all our traffic streams. When the traffic gets to a point where you can't manage it anymore, this is where we start scaling the business, and this is where we start putting the call centers in place. I just put one over here, but essentially you could have one on each website. Okay, so when we go a bit back here, we segmented the market into a whole bunch of services. You could have a website for each service, and you could have a core advisor answering specifically to that service, which is then going to your one local lead engine database. I typically recommend having a local lead engine for a sector. So you keep the data. You don't want to mix pets with financial data. You don't want to mix weddings with all kinds of other stuff. If you're going to the wedding market, have a web account for the wedding market and segment it and keep that data tight. If you're doing financial stuff, keep that tight. If you're doing house renovations, keep that tight. Keep it separate. And the reason why I'm saying that is that information is worth a lot of money. In the financial sector, the businesses are judged on how many active clients they've got on their book. Every single client has a specific value, and that's how they buy the business up, is by the book value. And the book value is determined by how many people they have actively transacting with them on this whole story. Okay, so what we've done is we've gone through how the system works to get the client the end result they're looking for. Then we've shown how you take the same lead engine that manages the redirection of all your leads, how we take that lead engine and we have it manage what the promotions are, and we get the client to actually engage and update the website with the latest offerings, which then gets directly pulled across to the call center guys, and this is all in sync. Okay. Then from the client perspective, we do surveys with the client, find out what they want, bring them back to a golden frame, introduce them to the other product offerings, and hopefully they call in or they fill in forms themselves, and so the perpetual loop runs and runs and runs. And that's the local leads business, guys. That's the whole business blueprint mapped out for you. And this whole process is worth a lot of money. And that's it. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. So I'm free for questions, guys.
Okay, we've got several. The first one, Debs is a little hard to read. Can you give details on how to ramp up the promotions page through third-party networks?
I don't understand that question.
Okay, Deb, if you can rephrase that, that'd be great. The next one, this is a question that I've had from 2 or 3 people actually coming through the help desk. And they're confused about the local leads theme that we gave them, as well as the silo architecture plugin. And the confusion comes from the fact that folks think that either both of them are themes or both of them are plugins, or not just quite sure how those two things fit together.
Okay. Yeah. The plugin, the silo builder, is essentially a plugin, and what that does, it rapidly builds out your silo architecture for your site. So like I said earlier, you can get ranked with far fewer inbound links. You actually can get all the way up to page 2 or 3 with no inbound links whatsoever, especially with what we're doing now. You probably even get ranked on the first page. The theme is a starting point for you guys. I just want to make that clear. It's just to give you guys something that's got a lot of the stuff that you need in it to get you going. You don't have to use that theme. It's just there to get you guys started. You can use any theme that you want. As long as you're building out a silo architecture, that's where you're going to get your real power. But the theme, you can use any theme. And the plugin works with most of the themes that we've tested on, unless they've really been modified and tweaked out.
Yep, and it definitely works with the theme that we gave you for the local leads.
Yeah, I've been testing and playing with it as well. So, yeah, the theme we gave you guys was a starting point. And the reason why we chose that one was, one, it's got all the things you need for local. 2, it's got all the back-end stuff, the KML files, all that kind of stuff that you need. It's mobile ready, which is another huge benefit for you. And the call to action is on the front of the page. As the guy hits your page, your call to action, you just grab his attention right there. That's why we got that call to action on the right-hand side with the arrow pointing down, flashing, and doing all the stuff. You want the guy to see your offer right there. Bang, this is the offer, and you want to capture his attention. So that's why we've got that. So once you get used to building these sites, you can use any theme you want, because now you know what you're doing. You're focusing on the lead. It's the lead you want. That's what's going to make you money.
Yep. And for those of you that aren't really familiar with our system, what happens is you put your keywords into Domain Web Studio, you build your silo framework out there, and then Domain Web Studio actually generates an XML file that the silo plugin uses to build out your silo structure. So those two things are used in conjunction with each other, and then you add that to the theme that you're using, and it makes a complete package. The mind map is already up in the members area. I think it's on the landing page for this particular module.
Is this the mind map you're speaking about? This
Yeah.
on the screen now? Yeah, guys, I've created a PDF which gives you the whole process with each step as a page, so you can actually print it out really nicely. So you'll get the PNG where you can actually blow this whole thing up. If you go to scale, it looks like that. But for printing purposes, for the guys who like to read a paper, each block will be printed onto a page.
All right. All right. So the next one is all this talk of call centers has jogged my memory in that we mentioned something about in one of the seminars about telling them the perils of IT debt. Is this going to be in the members area? Have we talked about that today?
We've not spoken much on IT debt. Essentially what IT debt means is when you're not paying attention to what you're doing and buying and spending on. The WSO plugins are prime examples of IT debt in our industry because everyone buys them and never uses them. So you got a basically a whole computer full of IT debts. Coming to call centers, we occur a lot of IT debt is where you don't do your due diligence, you don't shop around, and you don't know exactly what you want before you actually enter into this. Now, to make it very, very clear, all you're wanting for your local lead engine is someone to answer the phone 24/7 and to fill in your lead capture form. Okay, that's all you want them to do. And they've basically got to be able to convert the call into a lead. As soon as that lead is filled in, that's your job done. It's billable. Okay? You can take it a step further, but if you take it a step further, then you're dealing with sales, and then obviously you're going to get charged more. And if they charge you, they'll either be charged you per seat per hour per day, or they'll charge you a percentage of the sale value, or they'll charge you FX price. That's the only three models that most of these call centers use. So the IT debt side of things is if you don't do your due diligence, you will rack up a lot of money, wasting time and spending time on things that are not worthwhile using. Like for example, RVO is a nice thing to have, but do you have an organization that's got multiple departments? If you don't have that, don't bother with it.
Okay. Okay, so Dev's asking, how do you take the content and promote it? Is it site by site? Do you log into each site and post your content, or is it run through content creation? You're talking Domain Web Studio, I assume, Deb. And if you're using Domain Web Studio, then yeah, you're gonna log into Domain Web Studio. You're gonna go to each site in turn and promote your content there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's promotions. Go ahead.
Sorry, Sue. For the guys who use Domain Web Studio, right? That's your factory. That's your production factory. That's where you're going to build the sites. And once you get familiar with the process, you're going to want to start putting people in places to start doing this stuff. You'll map out the blueprint, and then you want to have a project manager go and assign a work to everybody else, and then that project manager must make sure that all these people are doing their work, whether they're doing it internally in the application or through Fiverr, and then someone's taking it and putting it into the system. Once it's all set and ready and you checked everything's right, export it out, import it to the site, optimize the site to make the site look pretty. Rinse and repeat, and keep on doing that. When the guys can promote, the reason why you want to promote in DWS is because you want to have all your promotions running through the DWS feed out that goes into the RSS channels. We spoke about traffic yesterday, RSS channels. Russell touched on it quite a lot, and that's the core reason why you want to push it through DWS, is so that you get everything through the feed. Because once you start driving stuff through the feed that comes out of DWS, a lot happens in the background, and because you're dealing on a local basis, you're basically going to get very, very strong very fast, and you'll start pushing a lot of the people off page one. It'll basically be all your stuff.
So I've got a question. I've actually had a couple of questions about TLKT and Kraken, and what I would use, or if I would recommend something else. And I have to say this, like, for starters, I went through, when we were having issues in the late spring, when Google they'd done a whole bunch of massive updates, I actually went through every single keyword tool on the market to see if there was something else out there that was adequate for what we needed for Domain Web Studio. And I found nothing. So it caused me to put a lot of money into TLKT and Kraken to bring them up to speed with the latest changes that Google made. So, I mean, you know, it's a skewed perspective because they're my tools. I'll just admit that openly. But I don't know of anything else out there that will get you the keywords that I would want when I'm creating a website. I actually had to build a site while my tools were down, and it was an extremely painful thing for me to be able to get the keywords the way that I wanted them. So,
because Sue got me to do the work.
Yeah, and Sue.
Yeah.
And Sue, don't make me show them the new process map on what Kraken actually does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have to say, and so then there's been a couple questions in here about whether I would use Kraken or TLKT. My preference is Kraken for a couple of different reasons. One, because I'm not afraid of the markets that I go after. I go after some pretty good-sized markets, and if you want to go after something good-sized, you're going to want to use Kraken so that you can really see how the market lays out and where the competition is. The other reason that I prefer Kraken is because it's phrase match, and at the moment TLKT is not phrase match. However, that change is underway right now. Kelly's been working on it for the last couple of weeks, and I can't say for sure, but it should be out sometime within the next week. The first phase is going to be, you're going to be able to get phrase match competing pages in the export, which is the important part for how Domain Web Studio calculates how much it's going to cost and how many inbound links you need, that kind of thing. And then within a couple of weeks after that, we'll have TLKT, well, I won't say weeks, actually, within a time frame after that, we will have TLKT and Domain Web Studio integrated into one tool. We're going to call it Network Empire. And that's, you know, that's the next really big phase that I'm waiting for. I'm kind of like, I have my whips out, let me just say that. And so I'm really wanting that to happen.
Oh, damn. There goes my summer.
Exactly.
I guess I won't be seeing the sun after that massive move either.
Actually, I want to have it, I want to have this done by the 1st of November, so you'll still have your summer. You'll be able to have Christmas on the beach. It sounds completely backwards for me because I'm in the northern hemisphere, but anyway. All right, so if you're, I mean, the bot's still there to go from broad match to phrase match. So if TLKT fits better in your budget, then you know it's great for niches. It works just fine, and otherwise, if you're doing a good-sized market, I mean, anything local is a niche. I don't care how large the city is, it's still going to be a niche. All right, so a whole bunch of comments came in while I was saying all of that. Let me see if I can run through some of these. Is the process map also available as a process map and not just as a PNG? In other words, would you also put up the link for these guys so that actually this was Excel or something like that you did this in, wasn't it?
I did in Visio.
Visio. So we could put up the Visio thing if you wanted.
Yeah, if the guys use Visio, they can use it. There's a bunch of formats. I'll need to find out what formats they use. It's not done in MindJet or any of those type of tools.
Right. All right. Dave was saying something about might want to mention that these themes. Oh yeah. Yeah. First of all, the Silo plugin that we use requires IonCube, so you got to make sure that IonCube's loaded on your server. And
sorry, Sue. If you want to use one-on-one, just stay out away from them. They're just a lot of hard work.
Don't
That's
agree.
Another. But agree.
We did have the exact instructions for how to get IonCube loaded on one-on-one linked to on the website.
And it's okay, everyone. Everybody has different opinions about. There's serious limitations on one-on-one. Anybody who's a heavy-duty programmer knows that. Okay, but for newbies, one-on-one is excellent. If you're an absolute newbie, but again, you're going to be on support. You're going to be on the support desk a lot. Sue likes Liquid Web, and Matt likes several different kinds of hosting companies. So
Blue Web is also good.
If you're cPanel centric, stay away from one-on-one or any other services like them, and there are a few of them. They have their own control panel, okay? And that's why people don't like it. Matt doesn't like stuff like that, and Sue doesn't either because it doesn't have any top-level control, especially not at your web space, you know. So.
EUK host is a good one in the UK.
Yeah. I also would like to add. Can I add a couple of things here, Sue?
Sure.
But you didn't sound very certain. Never mind. I'm stepping back.
I have a long list of questions, but go ahead.
Yeah, jump in. That's why I'm stepping back.
Okay. All right. So one of the other questions is, how's your end-of-tenancy LLE case site coming?
The what?
How's your personal end-of-tenancy site coming?
Oh, yeah, I'm busy working on it. I'm just getting the guys all together. I'm going to have that case study out before Christmas with what's actually happened there. I'm doing it as a case study for this course. So you guys will see actual sites, and you can actually go look at them and see what we've built out and how they're working.
Okay.
There was one there from Tora. I saw the question from Tora with regards to local AWeber type of stuff. When it comes to financial things, if you're doing financial leads, just do your due diligence. That's all I'm saying. If there are issues with having your leads out of the country, go for a local type of lead thing. But most of the time, I just use AWeber for my lead engines. Actually, you know what? I don't know what it's like in America, but in the UK, the guys need a CCL license, it's a consumer credit license, and that's the right to store people's data, their financial data. If you're dealing in that type of stuff and the lead you try and generate, the person requires having this license, then rethink your strategy. But if there's no consumer credit license, consumer licenses required, or a license required to hold people's personal information, then I wouldn't stress too much about it.
Okay, we had another question about Kraken for the big picture, the whole market, and TLKT is best for keywords. Yeah, that's what I would do. TLKT for phrases and Kraken for large markets, for larger markets. How's the TLKT Kraken integration going to affect pricing? We'll make sure everybody that's grandfathered in will have access to the TLKT with phrase match and Domain Web Studio. When we move up to the new Network Empire, everything integrated, then that's going to be a different price point. But our legacy members, we always treat our guys really well. You guys will get the best prices possible. But if you don't want any price increase at all, that'll be available as well. There'll be, the products that we have out now will stay out. If I buy a 3-day pass or 2-week pass, do we have the same features as the monthly or yearly? Yes, you do. On Kraken, yes.
Deb, IonCube was a nightmare.
I'm sorry. I mean, if you're having problems with the IonCube, your hosting company should be able to help you out with that. it shouldn't be a nightmare. It's pretty straightforward to load. But I know the first time it's a little bit like cutting teeth.
Yeah, Shelton's saying when the scripts and contract docs be out, we're going to put them in the members area by the end of next week. Like I said before, throughout this whole course, these are samples. We're going to work on one primary one, but there's a lot of different variations. Anything that requires legalities, take it past your solicitor and get it checked. We can't provide legal contracts for every country, every niche, as this virtually, it will cost too much money to do something like that. These are just templates to get you going. The scripts or guidelines, they're templates as well, because obviously everything that you're dealing with will be different. So whether you're working for someone in the surgery industry or lawyers or financial leads, you're going to have to speak to them differently. So the format of the scripts are there as guidelines or samples to show you how to lay them out. And then with the HTML templates I'm giving you, I'll just do a little PDF showing you how to copy and paste into it.
So the next question, Brian is asking, what's the typical timeline for setup and completing the process?
Well, look, at the local lead websites are, it's everything's different, but if you're going very niche-y, you could have a single silo with 5 articles to start off with and see how that goes, and then you can keep on adding on it and refining on it. It depends on what you're building out. It's very hard to answer that question because you could end up like, well, if we look at trust deeds in Scotland, that need is, there's not much you can say about it. You sort of cross over into that field, but majority there's like maybe 10 articles at the most, and you've outlined the whole market, the whole industry, exactly how it works. That is the industry. Then it's just a matter of converting the guys when they hit your website. The cost, well, it depends on what you're building and how you're promoting what you do. So it's hard to say. You're going to have to run it through DWS and see what the numbers say to get an idea.
I would also say that that question depends a lot on what your experience is. If you've had no experience in this whatsoever, it could take you a month to get all the way from point A to point B. It also depends on how much time a day you're going to dedicate to it. For guys that have put up a bunch of sites and they're used to this kind of thing, you'd be able to hit one, you'd be able to basically put one together in a day. So, it just depends. The local sites typically aren't very big, and if you've got your team together in terms of content writing, or you can grab content quickly and easily, then it goes together pretty fast. And as Matt just said, that the cost is going to depend on what you need. I strongly suspect, that's one thing that I want to show them. Matt, let me shove a link to you through Skype that you can display for them. And
It's start Skype up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there an easier way? I'll let you just start Skype up.
I'll throw it in.
And so this is a Fiverr gig that I've used this week. The guy was great. He will take your suggestions for citations, or he will make suggestions if you don't have any. And so what Matt was talking about a few minutes ago, where somebody's already gone through, they put their site up and they're in position 3 for all their keywords, you stick your citations onto you add your citations into that mix, and you're going to get popped up at least to the number 2 position, probably to the number 1 position for a lot of these. So, for $5 you can get from, you can basically have everything you need. So, so this guy, he's got a bunch of add-ons too. Normally he takes 5 days for delivery, and if you put in an extra $5, then you can get it in 48 hours. And he gives you the keys back for all of your citations. In other words, he gives you the email and the password, and he asks you for all of the information. In other words, you give him a paragraph about the site, and you give him the contact and the phone number, and as much information. Fill it out as much as you possibly can. Now, for $5, he'll give you 15 citations. For another $5, he'll give you 15 more citations, and 30 citations. That should be enough for anything. In fact, I ended up just going with a 15-pack, and I'll let you know in a month or so how well that did. It was on an older site. We were already ranked for some of the terms, so it's going to be a little bit of a different thing to go from a brand new site. But if you put your site up and in 15 weeks, just let it sit for a couple of weeks while you do some of this other stuff, and you see where your rankings fall out after a couple of weeks, and then you're going to know how much oomph you want to throw at it, whether you want 15 citations or 30 citations. You'll even do a total of 120, which I think is total overkill. I personally wouldn't do 120 citations.
Well, we saw on Majestic yesterday that the guy in slot number 1 only had 9 citations.
Right. So that gives you a feel for... Now, mind you, all of those links probably aren't, they probably don't show all the links to that site. I find actually that Majestic only shows you a percentage. But even if that's a percentage, you go with 30 citations and you're going to be at least even with them. You're probably beating them. So so you can see there for very little money you can get a huge chunk of your promotion handled there. So between that and personally, it's not worth my time. $5, $10, I can go have this done. It takes me a whole lot longer than $10 worth of my time to do all those citations. So
yeah, what's it, 2 cups of coffee?
Exactly.
That's the currency we speak in.
Yeah. Dang, that generated a whole bunch of comments here. Let me try to get back to where I was. All right.
You had Kevin. Kevin was next.
Go ahead, because I've completely lost my... Oh, there we are. Yeah.
2333. Yeah, Kevin, I think it's a good idea. So basically, Kevin said, what are the chances of having a follow-up conference to see how the initial members have got on in a month or so before my case study comes out? So I think Kevin's trying to organize some kind of competition.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Somewhere in the 2 to 4 week time period to have another Q&A session where we get together and chat about stuff, or maybe some kind of a regular mastermind session, maybe a quarterly mastermind session on this for a little while, something along those lines. You guys feel free to send us some emails and tell us what you think and how often you think you'd like to get together, that kind of, not weekly, okay. To use total separate Aweber accounts for different niches. I only use a totally separate Aweber account when I think I might spin something off. So, for example, I don't keep my clients. I'm not interested in having clients long term. So when I take on a client, I set up a separate Aweber account with the idea that I'm going to hand them the keys to that when it's finally done. But for all of my stuff across all of my different markets, for all of my different campaigns, they're all in one Aweber account. So
yeah, what I was referring to earlier was how you segment your database. Your naming conventions of your files. Keep them organized. If you're planning to sell your sites, okay, that's another thing. Suddenly you're building these networks and you're planning to get rid of them. You must have it organized in a way that you can actually take that, export it out, and hand it over if someone's buying the list.
Yeah,
so,
and that I would export, exactly, if you're going to flip it or sell it.
Yeah, that's where you want to be. Your naming conventions are very important when the way you name your files. So you can actually just look at it and you can make sense. Because if you just got weird names and
do you mean files or lists?
His lists.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Every single thing I do is a different list. For example, ThemeZoom might have a dozen different. The ThemeZoom Network Empire. Enterprise has probably got a dozen different lists tied to it. And there are ways when you go to send out an email that when you send out an email, a bulk email, you can specify additional lists so that people don't get multiple emails. And so I tend to segment out things into different lists when I do different promotions or different kinds of promotions, because then if I ever want to go back and target just that one list, I can. I have them in a special confined area. So for certification guys, for example, if anybody ever signed up on any of the different certification lists, I can go in and say, hey, we've got an opening for certification, or we're upgrading it, or we're doing some kind of a special offer, and I can send it to just those guys who have expressed an interest in certification.
Okay.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, I'm going to be revising that broad to phrase match bot. I'm going to try and make it faster because at the moment it runs really quick, really slow. It's just to try and not get your IP banned by Google. That's why we sort of tone it right back. But we're revising all the bots either the end of next week to the following week. That's when we're going to go looking through.
Well, I'm hoping by the end of next week you're not going to have to worry about it. I'm hoping that Kelly's finished with that upgrade by then. So
I know, that's what I said.
Yeah. Okay, good.
No more bots. Goodbye,
You're
bots.
trying to start them.
No more bots.
Okay, can we do a question? Yeah.
Kill the bots.
When you have a niche that 7 pages will cover the market question, but he just says you need 20 supporting, how much could you repeat content? With DWS, with the supporting articles, it's a reference point. That's how you must look at it. It's not set in stone. If the market can't give you 20 pages, then what you can do is just look at other things. Like you can go into your help desk and pull out the questions and create FAQ pages, because that'll hold your keywords, and you can actually filter it out that much more. But I typically build what I have to build. I put it live. I test and measure. I see how it goes with the rankings, and I see the responses are, and then I come back and I build some more. That's the best way of building: is build, test and measure, come back, refine, build some more. That's where you get a much better build out of what you're doing.
Oh, there's an interesting question. Kevin said, if you have 7 pages, that'll cover the market questions, but DWS says you need 20 supporting pages. What do you do? And when Domain Web Studio says you need 20 supporting pages, like that's just our reference point. It's looking at the competition, right? And it's saying that in order to rank for the number of inbound links that we say that you need, then you're going to need this much on-site. So in other words, it's wanting to create a thematical reference on-site so that it lowers your requirement for inbound links to establish that theme. So if you don't have that many pages on-site, all you have to do is get a few more inbound links. And that'll take care of it. And how many is, depends on how competitive it is. So so you can just know that those two are birds of the same feather. And if you decrease one, you have to increase the other.
Those base themes, Dave's the next question above Kevin's. In the theme, they basically give you the terms of service, legal policies, disclaimers, etc. Just modify them slightly with your domain. I don't see any issue with those typical contracts being the same. You don't have to go rewrite the whole thing. That's a pointless exercise.
Oh, Dave was saying...
Just go read through them.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Karen, Dave was saying?
Did you finish that thought?
Oh, no, I was just saying it's the terms and conditions of your site. Just make sure you're happy with what they're saying. It's not rocket science. It's got to work with what you're doing. If there's terms and conditions you don't like, then just modify it. But I wouldn't go too overboard and rewrite the whole things. Right.
So Dave was saying in the next comment that they got a site up and running in 3 hours. So just to give you an idea, that was back from Brian's question, and how long does it take? You can do it in as short as 3 hours.
And that included the trouble with one-on-one.
All right.
Excuse me? Try 5 minutes of one-on-one. 5 minutes, including the...
Okay. Are there automated ways for names to come off of promotion lists or for names to jump to other lists? I'm assuming that you mean in Aweber. And the only quote automated way for names to come off of a promotion list is for somebody to unsubscribe. You can't really do anything automated on the inside of Aweber because they're actually trying to make sure that it can't generate spam. So you can export, but if you want to import, then everybody has to opt in. Yeah, they have to say that yes to getting the emails again on another list. All right. I think that's got everybody's questions. It was a huge, long deluge of comments and questions. So if we missed somebody's questions, please stick your hand up, ask it again. In the promotional page, how do you change username and password when you're going to promote for another client? Does that make sense to you, Matt?
In the promotional page, how do you change the username? Is this in DWS, David?
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm adding another little function over there just to update the things so you can tweak and change those as you want. We kept that pretty tight because there was promotional content tied to specific logins, and if you start changing those logins and you publish content before, you're essentially going to lock yourself out if you come back and you try and use the new updated username and password. So I think soon I need and Russell may have a chat about that.
Yeah.
But at the moment you can either delete the content, delete the whole thing, but it'll take away all your promotional articles, or you create a new one. That's what we sort of done it, because there's so many relationships between that username and password and the promotional plan and the one feed. Everything's interwoven and connected. So it's we need to revise it and have a look at it. But at the moment, no, you can't change it.
Okay. Yeah, the workaround I would do would be to just create that account again. You know, in the upper right-hand corner, you can create your own whatever. So you could create another Easing Articles account and just call it Easing Articles 2 or Easing Articles with a date or something like that, so that when you look at the name, you can easily tell them apart.
Okay.
Eve, just ping us a request offline. We'll take care of that for you. All right. I think that's everything.
Yeah, so yeah, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this course. It was an interesting journey for me writing all this stuff out. It brought back a lot of memories and unlocked a lot of new ideas that I want to try out. So yeah, I like Kevin's idea of coming back, and
definitely,
guys, seriously, just go out and build the sites and don't overthink them too much. That's what's going to hold you back is overthinking it. With these local sites, they rank really quickly and they're really fast, and the leads will come if you just get the right call to actions in there. So just get the sites live and go for it. And just start with one. That's what you got to do. Just build one, go through the motions, get it live, and then see how it happens. Then build the next one. You'll find it'll get better and better and better and easier. But this works. The system works, and it's a legitimate system that you can build a business on, because the core of every business is leads. Every salesman needs leads. Everybody needs leads to sell something. And where you're positioning yourself, you put yourself as the gatekeeper to those leads, and that's what you want to be.
Excellent. Well, I've had fun with this course. I've certainly learned a lot. It's been a real joy, and I look forward to doing this test site with Matt and really digging into it and finding out all the ins and outs. I've never done a call center before, so it's a completely new area for me.
Oh, that's going to be fun, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. This has been awesome, and we will be back.